An international assignment starts out with certain expectations of success. Most never live up to that ideal, at least not in the early stages. That's not to say they fail, but the expected progress, both professionally and personally, can stall. To avoid this, it's good to apply one simple lesson, and it's to do with cheese. Swiss cheese, to be precise. Psychologist James Reason created this idea as it applies to systems. Recognition of it has been used to raise safety in critical areas such as healthcare and aviation, where recognizing errors and putting remedies in place early can avoid catastrophic failures. On their own, they can be inconsequential. If random slices are put together, however, it can cause these holes to line up, leaving gaps all the way through. This is what it feels like in the early stages of an assignment. You've been adding your slices to the process of preparation and arrival, and so is your organisation. Along the way, if any of these holes line up, you can be left dealing with the gaps that can last longer than you anticipated. Think about what's happening in those first few weeks. You're trying to get your family settled, housing, schools, and grocery stores, a pharmacy, how a transit card works. That takes bandwidth, real bandwidth. Not I'll squeeze it in at lunchtime between meetings. At the exact same time, you're walking into a new office with colleagues who mostly don't know you yet, and whether you say it out loud or not, they're forming an impression of you right now based on how present, responsive, and engaged you seem. Here's the trap. Those two demands compete for the same hours in the day, and most people don't plan for that collision. They assume you'll just figure it out as you go. So ask yourself, when you arrive somewhere new, or if you're about to, did anyone actually help protect your time for settling in? Or did you just quietly absorb the pressure to look fully on from day one? The gap is where those holes line up. Let's lay out the slices, the layers of defence that, when they hold, keep a rocky start from becoming a derailed assignment. Slice 1, personal bandwidth planning. The whole here is treating settling in as something you do in stolen moments. The defence is deliberately blocking real time. Not if I get a chance, but scheduled time to handle housing, schools, healthcare, registrations, and just learning your way around. If you don't protect this in advance, you'll take it reactively at the worst possible moments, in ways that look erratic rather than intentional. Slice 2. This is the one that most people underestimate. Colleagues who don't know you yet have no baseline for what normal looks like for you. If you're vague or silent about what the first few weeks involve, they'll fill that gap with their own assumptions. And if you're slow to respond on an email or because you're at the housing office, the assumption might not be generous. The defense is, again, proactive, simple communication. Something like, I want you to know my first 2 weeks will include logistics, settling in with my family, sorting housing and schools. I'll flag when I'm out for that. I'm committed to being responsive and present for the team otherwise. That one conversation does an enormous amount of work. Slice 3, orientation to third spaces. Not home, not the office, the spaces in between, the pharmacy, the transit system, the neighbourhood you'll actually live your life in. Skipping this feels efficient in week 1, but the hole it leaves is stress that shows up later. At the worst moment, usually when something at work demands a lot from you. The defence is treating basic orientation as part of the job, not a distraction from it. And then there's slice 4. Credibility built early, not assumed. Trust with new colleagues isn't automatic just because you were sent there. It's built through small, visible signals, showing up prepared, following through on what you said you'd do, being present when you said you would be. The whole is assuming your title or the assignment itself buys you patience. It usually buys you very little. The defence is treating the first month as a credibility building sprint, not a settling in grace period you're owed. Slice 5, a support system that catches what you miss. With all this planned, You will miss something. A manager who checks in, a peer who tells you honestly how you're coming across, a partner conversation about how the load is actually being split. This slice doesn't prevent holes, it catches what gets through the other layers. Here's the thing about the Swiss cheese model. Any one slice missing is usually survivable. You can handle a rough week if a colleague already trusts you. You can handle low visibility with colleagues if your family logistics are calm. So here's the actionable piece. Before you land, or if you've just landed, do one thing this week. Have the expectation setting conversation. Not a long speech, a short, honest heads up to your new colleagues, your new boss, about what the first couple of weeks will have involved, and your commitment to being present once the dust settles. That single slice, clear communication early, closes more holes than almost anything else on the list because it protects your credibility while you're doing other necessary work of getting settled. If you want a fuller framework for thinking through this transition on the personal side and the professional side, that's exactly what we work through with people ahead of an assignment or soon after they arrive. See you in the next video.